Hello, I'm Oswaldo Rodrigues from the Brazilian Numismatic Society, and I come to you to make a presentation, and I hope you enjoy it because it's something about my profession and about my passion. I've been collecting some tokens that, you know, it takes place about sex. I hope you enjoy it. Well, our culture has a lot of put in common sex and money, mostly prostitution. But I feel I can show you something that I've been looking at in the past 40 years. First of all, you may remember one of the most iconic coins from the Western culture is this statue that pictures a satyr copulating with a nymph. Ancient Greek, all right, but you also may know, or came to know, that in Rome we had some sprinti. They're called sprinti. They're kind of coins. Well, that's a very big discussion. There are 16 types picturing couples in different sexual positions. There are a lot of discussion about it, a lot of assumptions. Some say they are not coins, some say they are tokens, some say they are kind of entrances to a whorehouse, or maybe it's just a piece of a chess game or a cardboard game. But the thing is that they are very, very interesting. They really picture some different types of people, couples, into sexual relations. We have some current reproductions, and they're very nicely made in Europe, and you can look up at the internet. It will be easily found. But we have another copies that are very bad and even golden. So it seems that people may understand that they're more valuable. But let's go to the point. Fun and games. This is one part that it's very important to our culture since the 1930s or 1940s. One of the main layouts is this one. This is from the 1960s. 25 millimeters copper shows heads and tails. A girl facing and showing her breasts, and in the other side, the back part of her body. Also, we have a lot of burlesque types. Read it. They're all jokes. They're very interesting to find, and maybe they're just used to pile chips during a card game. They're very different, several metals. Some maybe use it for an entrance or to buy something in nightclubs, as this one. And reproductions of the early heads and tails of several metals and several types for several needs or reasons. And interesting, in the last 20 years, it appeared this series of, I would say, tokens. Some say they're made over a real American $25 coin, a 25-cent coin. There is one for each state, always showing a girl, nude or mostly nude, in positions that can be considered erotic, and making some reference to the state they're showing. But continuing the tradition of tails and heads and tail, I found this for the last 20 years. It appeared on the internet. It's aluminum, and they're colored in anodized in several different colors. Well, they're nice looking. They're very, very well done. There's another type that comes from the beginning of the 1970s. Every North American knows what happens in New Orleans during what all the rest of the Western world call Carnival, the Mardi Gras, the Tuesday that ends the Carnival. Well, it seems that by the 1960s, they begin to make some aluminum tokens. There are several depicting some women, naked girls, and they were tossed to the audience and also used to enter some places or some nightclubs or what. There are also something very interesting that I came across like 20 years ago. Reproductions are made to be kind of arrows in numbers that do not exist, like 600 euros, 300 euros, or 1,000 euros, depicting women and men naked and supposed to be erotic positions. Then they were sold through the internet. And also, there is a version of Eros made by the Chinese. It also began to be popular like 20 years ago. There are 48 types, I guess, and several sexual positions. And why do they do that? Because we buy it. Maybe just for curiosity, maybe because some people get excited with it. But anyway, they are sold. But talking about Chinese, I found something very interesting and might be interesting for you too. It's a kind of token, of course, because they're used. So it says, so we found in some historical uh, writings, the one in the left is original one. It's a kind of 3 inches wide and depicts some couples in sexual positions. The one on the right is a modern reproduction, and they used to give it away to the groom and bride since the honeymoon, so they can know, they find out how they can do sex. They tried the positions looking at it as a sex education book. But the most we can look for is prostitution in tokens. I might have a little um, show for you, several types. They are supposed to be used in brothels in the Western United States. Several types, several metals. They bring information about what you're going to do with that. Some saloons, some cities. It's to buy things, to trade for girls, whiskey, or tobacco. It it's repeated for every place, but there are a lot of modern reproductions for the last 50 years, and we can find it on the internet and eBay or other places. Um, you can buy it because you find it a curiosity, but mostly you'll get reproductions. There are a few ones that may seem that they're not reproduction, and you may want it, but there are a few ones like those they're clearly copies or modern reproductions. But some nightclubs they may use those tokens to administrate, to control consumption into the nightclub. So girls or bartender would give it away to the manager. So one of those I found this one is very well done, but we can find it out those days in the last 20 years. A lot of tokens or like say souvenirs from prostitution houses. Look at that. There are several types. There are several ways. They're nice coin. There are even the ones that brings the the photographs, the colored photographs of the girls that are supposed to be working in those houses. Well, this I would connect it with prostitution in the 90s in German, because they try to make a double meaning word with the number 6 meaning sex, and a sex mark like the German marks that we had. I found this one from France, but I also knew that it was a reproduction, a copy, but from the beginning of the 20th century. Thinking of erotic exonumia, we find a lot of coin like metal, maybe use it for card games just as a cheap, but anyway, they're funny. They get jokes in it, and you can find in others they're just carrying the word sex. It seems that just the three word se, the three-letter word sex is enough to get the attention of some people, because sex seems to be funny or maybe erotic to someone. Another thing that I came across, and has to do with we're talking here, there are silver ingots from the early 1970s. Few ones with jokes or the burlesque types, another ones are representing paintings, famous paintings, and from the beginning of the 21st century, I found this from the London Mint. The Playboy girls, the Playboy bunnies, they were stamped in 2002 and 2004. Or others use it as a memory of Marilyn Monroe, or using the heads and tails type, all silver, all Trojans. Or this one, this is very funny. I'm not hungry, I'm not homeless, but I will work for sex. Or the screw you type. Again, the Betty type, or using the other forms that I found in other pieces of metal. Just the layout of a girl, just the year of the dragon, a girl, a nude girl over the dragon. This one's supposed to be Madonna, but anyway, they're silver. Or silver sex positions for every month of the year, or the signs of the zodiac, or other types of ideas, background drawing, in they just get women in erotic positions in the front of the head of this man with the pipe. Here's another type in the same way. Or double meaning words, women's liberation, it's from 1973, or a go-go bar, also in 73, and this smashed pennies that we get in the machines. Well, the souvenirs for a lot of tourist places, but there's a series of the zodiac types. This is from Aquarius. The Chinese in the late 1990s began to make kind of coins of dollar of size types, with, for instance, Marilyn Monroe, and the reverse with colorful photographs of Marilyn Monroe in some of her movies. And the last type, and I would love to show you that, is there are the love tokens. Love tokens. You get a coin and you polish it on one side and you inscribe your initials and you give it to someone you love, because you're departing, you're going to be away, so you can be remembered. It's very important, it's very nice. There are several beautiful and entailed love tokens, and they were very used for a while. Look, what I came to talk to you and give you this possibility is that sex and money are associated, but sometimes they're sexually explicit. Sometimes we can find in those pieces from the Roman Empire, but even love is very valuable with this love tokens. And maybe we always try to demonstrate with tokens to try to exchange or get close to someone with some meaning. Maybe you can do that. And thank you so lot.